Hello, hello. Here we are again coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha with the Paranormal World Show. You know, the show for the thinking global citizen, the ones that come back, the ones that are snoopy, they want to know stuff. This is the place to be. And they are not afraid to step outside of the box and look what is there. And you will find it here, especially tonight. And we are coming to you from 44 different platforms all around the world. And we're transmitting through the wonderful platform of Cosmic Awakening Network. You got to go look them up. And because of them, we are on Roku, 3 TV stations, and a bunch of other places, and a horde of social media places. So, and also, I want to tell you how you can connect with us. Just go to broadcastteamalpha.com. And in there's a place you can send us a message and do that. And you can, we'll see it and we will answer you. So that's how you get a hold of us. If you're watching on YouTube right now, that's the best place to do it, because there we can also communicate with you through the chat room. You can ask questions and we can answer them for you. So that's the place to be. Of course, if you are any of the other 44 places, then come back to YouTube, then that'll work better for you. And and we have a great guest returning to Broadcast Team Alpha here. We have Gil Carlson coming back with us. We're going to talk about something that's going to blow your mind, because he has written 41 books, I seem to remember, about stuff that nobody's supposed to know about. And this time we're going to talk about alien contact, alien artifacts, alien people that have been here and working with your government. Yes, your government. I don't care where you are on the world. They've been working with your government for a long time. And we have, Gil he's written 41 books, and I only got 6 of them, and I'm about halfway through all of it. So I'm getting educated too. And what we're going to talk about tonight is something called the Yellow Book, that was given to the military of the United States by extraterrestrials. And it's not necessarily just a book. It is an artifact that can give you information. And this is going to get interesting. And then there is a lot of other connection to the alien presence connected to that device, as well as some of the things that he has written in this book. That is the title, The Yellow Book. And when you get your hands on that book, it's one of those that once you get by page 2, make sure you got the whole night available to you, because you're not going to be able to put it down. I know. So welcome to the show, Gil.
Well, thank you, Augie, and thank you for the kind words. And let me show you.
Yeah, there you go. The
You
Yellow
see that
Book.
clearly? Yes, this is the Yellow Book.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to find it to be rather amazing.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you that aliens are on Earth now, and they've been here a long time. And they are responsible for turning us into marvelous humans that we are today. There are many different alien species that have been visiting us, as you probably are aware of. And possibly the beginning was with the Anunnaki, who actually ruled us and helped us to develop for many centuries. But if you're not convinced that aliens exist, you probably will be after you're exposed to this program today. And I've got to warn you, you're about to hear some bizarre things, but keep in mind that this is not some ideas I dreamed up. This is for real. based on government information that has been revealed over the years.
Yeah.
I have put out 41 books, as you mentioned, Augie, and I don't write science fiction. I have sources in the government and military and methods of doing deep research to discover information normally not available. Plus, I get a little bit of influence from alien entities who, contrary to what you may believe, are anxious to get this information out. Now, let me start with the Yellow Book.
Yeah, good place to start, because
Yes.
it is such an enigma and very few people actually know much about it. They've been able to keep this covered up for a very long time, since probably around the early or the late 40s, 50s. Anyway, you go ahead and tell us
It's
about
something
it.
that I've heard a little bit of uh, uh, tidbits about now and then. I never really could find much information. And I set my mind to one day to really start looking into this and digging out what I can. But the Yellow Book is a device that has been brought to us from the Evens, and they are from planet Serpo in the Zeta Reticuli star system. And your learning about the Yellow Book may hurt your head, because not only is it a strange subject, but there are different versions of the story, and it's difficult to get exact answers to your questions, especially anything dealing with the government. You know, they like to play games with the information.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Plus, what I found in a number of circumstances like this, when you're seeking an answer, the answer you get will end up presenting you with numerous more questions rather than satisfy your what you're seeking. And there are several versions of the Yellow Book story and several different objects confused with the Yellow Book. But I'm going to describe the actual Yellow Book. And first, I have to tell you, it is not actually what we'd think of as a book. It is more like an Apple iPad on steroids. And it has been described as a crystal rectangular block of alien material, like 2.5 inches thick, transparent, and constructed of a clear, heavy fiberglass type material. And the border of this book is bright yellow, and that's why it's referred to as the Yellow Book. And the Yellow Book has technology that accesses the field of consciousness, which is an interesting concept. And it allows that to show the probable outcomes using a hologram. And it also reacts with the people who are viewing it and viewing the possible future through it. Plus, the human emotions of the people present can create instability in the information, which is kind of an interesting thing to consider. And how it works is the reader looks at the transparent surface and watches as words and pictures appear. And you'll immediately begin to see words and images flashing before you. And depending on the language you are thinking in, it senses that, and the information will appear in that language. And so far, the government has identified 80 different languages that it can differentiate. And you'll see, from looking at that screen, you'll see a endless series of historical stories and photographs. And this Yellow Book tells the story of Eben's lives their exploration of the universe, their planet, their society, and other aspects. And also the Ebens' longtime relationship with Earth and of their first visit to Earth. And it displays Earth as it was in those days. And the Yellow Book is like, goes on, and it's endless in what it shows. And so far, they claim there's no way to find the end of the book. And there may not be any end to it.
Maybe the whole existence is recorded in it, because then there wouldn't be any end to it, because existence hasn't ended yet. It just keeps going on and on and on. And I remember also, I remember looking in that in the book, they talk about, it looks like it could be also holographic images that is coming out.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Bob Lazar even talked about it. I think a lot of the information about the Yellow Book came from him, didn't it?
Not exactly. I'm still kind of confused or on that. When he was at Area 51, he claimed to have worked with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that was the actual Yellow Book he worked with, the same one I'm describing, because like I said, there's a lot of confusion and different stories. Because Bob Lazar describes it, and I don't want to put him down. He's a very smart person, and he's shared a lot of information with the world to and made the government very unhappy with some of what he's revealed.
Yeah, but
that makes him a good person in my book, but
yeah, Bob is the real thing. He has too much information. He couldn't have made all this up, because it matches.
And although there's been a lot government's been doing to tarnish his image, but
for the ones,
good reason for it. And but anyway, what he describes, and what he was working with as a format that's more like an actual book. And he talks about flipping it over, and it's like two books put together. One's upside down, and it's kind of like basic history of Earth on one side. Then you flip it over, and describes the reticulum 4, which is, I think, a name that was given to him by the government, which is, I'm not sure if that would be the Ebens, probably would be. So it was an alien group that we had dealt with, or government had dealt with. And he describes being able to see a history of Earth from a alien perspective on this book. As well as the history of the Reptilium 4. And it has, in this device he's using, or book, he claims, it has a lot to do with the alien civilization. And there's photographs of autopsies and aliens and things he's never seen before. And he describes being like a Mylar-based pages and 3D looking pictures, which could be, I'm not sure. I really don't think it's the same as the Yellow Book that I was describing. But maybe there's different versions of it, or maybe that was something provided from a different alien group.
Yeah. Well, that particular story about him talking about possibly something similar to a book with mylar pages in it that there were information in, I know that there is a story coming out of the Vatican that was written by Dr. Schnebelen. He was a red-robed cardinal, and he found out what the Vatican was doing, so he says, hey, I'm out of here. He quit, left the robe in Rome, and he left, and he wrote a book about, because he was working in the library. And he said some of the artifacts that they have is phenomenal. One of the artifacts that the Roman Church are hiding from people is a book. And he wrote about this in one of his books, Dr. Schnebelen. And he said that it's a small, I think he said 3 to 4 inches square, something like that, but it is a book. And it has pages in it that is see-through pages. It doesn't look like there is anything on them, but you can turn the pages. And when you turn them, each page, the book sing to you. And
Wow.
he could say it was a form of language. It was obvious that it was different words and phrases, but it sounded like song when you turn the pages, he said. And when you close the book, the song quits.
That's quite amazing, but
Yeah.
maybe in 25 years, our books will be like that.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, yeah.
There's, there's things in ancient times where they had, like in Atlantis, they had technology that was more advanced than ours.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And hey, 25 years, I don't think we're going to have to wait that long, because
maybe not the way things are going.
Yeah, I have seen actually a roll-up newspaper, but it is one sheet, and it is like a rolled-up TV screen, but it is a newspaper. This is being experimented with right now in China. I saw it on an overseas, I think it was German, possibly, website, and they wrote about it. They're saying this is coming. There was just like, it was a roll-up newspaper. You just unfolded it, squeeze one corner, and the whole page is turned on, just like a TV screen.
Maybe in a couple of years, that'll be standard equipment
Yeah.
in our Tesla.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But
all right, I'm sorry I broke into your story here, but just
no, that's okay.
continue, and this gets interesting. So tell us more about this.
One of the I got to discuss what was revealed on this yellow book, or in this yellow book. Okay. Your audience ready for this?
I'm all ears.
Okay. Was Jesus an alien?
Yeah.
I got to explain this. The yellow book shows an even who took on the appearance of an earth human. And that was Jesus. And according to the yellow book, this earth human established religion on earth and posted the first alien ambassador on earth. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I have a few ideas. And as revealed in the yellow book, Jesus Christ was a creation of one particular alien group, the Evens. Jesus was genetically engineered, a human alien hybrid sent to Earth to teach the humans a lesson of love and tolerance, which I guess we really didn't learn.
Yeah.
And this wasn't the first time that extraterrestrials, I always have trouble with that word, tried to influence human affairs. Previously, they successfully appeared to Moses as a burning bush. You remember that story, which seemed very much like an alien craft, and and radiation from this craft, which
Yeah.
turned Moses' face red. And that was when Moses was presented with the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, and in the surviving Roman records, they show that the original 10 commandments were not 10 commandments, they were 21
Whoa.
commandments. And 21, the Roman church decided that's too much. We got to cut this down. So they made it down to 10.
I'd like to read the missing 11.
Yeah,
That could be another book in itself.
yes, it could if you get your hands on the note from Nicaea or Constantinople now these days, and the notes from the church meeting when Emperor Constantine sent 223 people to Nicaea, and he told them to create a religion that will unify my empire and do not emerge before you have done so. They wrote notes of everything that was said and done, and it is available. I read it 50 some years ago back in Europe, and it was kind of slipped through the cracks, I guess, back then. But now it's available again. I've seen it on Amazon. I have not read that particular book, but it talks about what happened at Nicaea.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great information out there if you just dig a little deeper and have an open mind.
Diggers will find it, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing that I want to say on Jesus being an alien.
Yes.
When I was digging through stuff and I was creating my book about spiritual science, I found in the surviving Roman records there is a letter from one of the Roman senators where he speaks that he had researched the Messiah, which is the Messiah, the Yahshua Beth Halachme, which was Jesus's Hebrew name.
You say that better than I could.
Well, I practiced. And he said there is no records speaking with people of that time. There are no record of this Messiah before he emerged at the age of about 5 years old.
That's
so
interesting.
Then what happened at that time? Was he dropped off, or what happened? How did he show up? There's got to be the Romans were good on records. They have birth records, but he didn't show up. So that's another question to throw into the soup.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Now you go ahead.
Okay. I was just finishing up on alien Jesus here. And supposedly when the aliens returned to check on Jesus, they were very pissed that we had killed him.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes counter to what we've been reading.
Yeah.
That whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot hidden away, as you mentioned, in the Vatican archives and government facilities about most of the gods of our ancient religions being aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Just something to kind of wrap your head around. And there was I show in my book a fresco painting that shows Christ being crucified with a large gathering around him, and the top and left and right corners appear to be flying craft. Kind of like the artist is telling us that these flying saucers were present during the death of Jesus.
That would not surprise me.
There's plenty more art
Mhm.
objects that I have
Yeah.
in this book that depict similar things. Different Christian scenes being painted with aliens or alien craft in them.
Yeah.
Another thing too, you were talking about before, is a, a text that suggests that Jesus was a alien shapeshifter.
Yes.
And
I read that in the book, and that was said by the people that came to arrest him. They asked the Jews. I know you could probably talk better at that, but it was asked of Jesus, "How can we arrest him? He is no single shape. He can be old. He can be young. He can look light. He can look dark, small, tall." And that was written by the Coptic priest, I guess, in the Coptic church. I guess his name was Emedius, and he was a saint, made a saint that time or later. Well, if that was true, then he had to be a shapeshifter.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see you reading my book and quoted it exactly there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's also a question about who was actually crucified.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because there is a story in your book here, and I just can't help it. I gotta say this, and that is that there's a record in the where it is said that Pontius Pilatus, he had dinner with Joshua the night before the crucifixion. So were they that far apart?
It's very, very interesting. I've heard more things like that.
Yeah,
Something was going on there. Something was arranged. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm
We
glad
don't.
you mentioned that. Uh, you just can't believe anything you read anymore.
Yeah,
There's so
I
much
know.
in history that's, makes you wonder.
But I do believe more of the things that was written 1,000 or 2,000 years ago than I do from what I read today in the major media.
Definitely. It's,
Yeah,
our media is controlled by big business and government.
yeah.
When we see how
It's
uh,
the best
how our health is being controlled
corporate
uh,
government you can
in
get.
favor of the drug companies pushing their drugs, and
Yeah.
you don't see very many programs on TV about how to heal yourself without drugs,
Oh,
and how
that's
poisonous some of these drugs are.
oh,
It
that's
always amazes me when I see the disclaimers after a drug commercial for skin problem or something, and the side
oh yeah,
effects, cancer, death, heart attacks, but people
yeah,
still rush out to get that stuff. And
yeah. We're just leave.
I don't want the FDA to get after me,
No, we
but
don't.
sometimes
We don't need them.
sometimes you do need them, but
Yeah.
it's better if you can find a alternative, a healthy alternative, or better yet, live a healthy life. Stay away from all the crap in our food and eat healthy and take care of yourself.
Yep.
Don't get dependent on these drugs.
It's our responsibility to do that. And if we give the body what it needs, it will replenish itself because it is a self-correcting machine.
And
But we
I
don't.
got to, you know how I always wander around I different ideas. Forgive me, but that brings up something. A couple of years ago, I had this infection which went throughout my whole body, started eating away at my spine.
Ooh.
I had they sent me in. I came within days of being paralyzed or dying, and they rushed me in for emergency back surgery, and then they put some rods in my back for a year until it healed back up because they had to cut some two discs out, and 3 weeks in the hospital on all these drugs, and
Oh man.
it was rough. But I didn't start healing till I got out of the hospital, got back into taking care of myself and
Yeah.
eating properly. You wouldn't believe how poisonous those foods are they gave you in the hospital.
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
there is no health in the hospital.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need them, but as soon as
Yeah.
you can get away from them.
But
But anyway, let's get back to the evens.
yeah, they do have their place, and I've been known
Oh
to
yeah.
giving doctors a bad rap too, but they do
Oh
have their.
no.
If I break my leg, I'm gonna go see one. The
Yeah.
herbalist, he can just buzz off. I don't care about him if I break my leg, but
Right.
I'm gonna be right there in the hospital. So they have their place.
Definitely.
But let's go ahead and continue the story. It gets, in fact,
Yes,
I
from
tell you
my
what.
book there, what
Wait.
I've got in my book is that the Ebens claim that when they first came to Earth, they were involved in the genetic examination of Earth humans and
Mhm.
used alien biogenetic engineering to create the present day Homo sapiens,
Mhm.
which is similar to a lot of other things I've read.
Yeah, let me say one thing here. We're at the bottom of the hour. So for those of you that joined us late into this show, we are talking with Gil Carlson. He's returning to Broadcast Team Alpha, and we are talking about the artifacts that alien civilizations have given to the Earthlings, most likely the military or the CIA, for of course for their purpose, because they are sifting through everything. If they're deciding what we can have, they basically run society, so they got it first and they still have it. We haven't seen it, but we're talking about some of the things that is leaked out. So stay with us on this one towards the end. And if you are on YouTube right now, please subscribe if you like what you hear. And also the super chat is open. So we'd love to hear from you there too, if you can support us in any way you can. Thank you. And we are back with Gil. So continue your story there.
Yes, I was describing how the Ebens were here from like the beginning, and the information I have is that they did return. We know they returned about 2,000 years ago, and were involved in what they called the Jesus experiment.
Mhm.
And I'm sure they returned a number of times before that. But supposedly, and this is something that I really couldn't find any more information on, but they returned in the early 40s and they set up a base in northern New Mexico. And then in 1947, it was two of their spacecraft that crashed um, in southern New Mexico.
Mhm.
And that kind of began our relationship, if you can call it that, with the Evens. Um,
Yeah.
what they called EB1 was found in the crash site that was near Corona, New Mexico. And he was slightly hurt and recovered. He was a mechanic aboard the ship, and he was eventually able to communicate through the military with pictures that were shown him by the Army personnel. And from there, he went to Roswell Army Airfield, and then he was transferred to Kirtland Field, and um, and he worked with a lot of the military people, basically trying to communicate and things like that. And supposedly he shared a lot of information with us. There's a book, can't remember the exact title, about the woman that was like his caretaker, that he shared a lot of information with, which was very interesting. And it's something that you can't really dismiss as being a fake or being inaccurate. It's really, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And
Now,
about
when you talk about EB1, what did he actually look like?
okay, well, in my book I've got a basic description of what they discovered about him. That he had no liver or pancreas or gallbladder, and his stomach acted as all these organs.
Hmm.
And one thing that was kind of bizarre, I didn't understand. It said he had small glands on his hands, arms, and legs, and these glands would enlarge at certain times.
Hmm. Hmm.
A lot of strange things that make you think.
What were they for? Was there any
They never
description?
really discovered
Oh,
or never
okay.
mentioned it,
Huh.
but as far as description, they said he was 4 feet 3 inches tall and weighed 60 pounds. And another thing that was interesting is he was shown some of these items that were recovered in the Roswell crash site. And he was able to teach them how to utilize the communication and energy devices.
Hmm.
And then they used the communication device to contact his home planet, Planet Serpo.
Oh, yeah.
And then they started a kind of a limited communication back and forth. And it wasn't 100%. There was a lot of language things and everything else that had to be worked out over the years. But they finally managed to send a message to Earth about that we're going to return for a meeting. And it was set for April 24th, 1964. And it was decided to be at White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. And EB number one was no longer alive at that time. But EB number two was a part of an exchange program. And then EB number three was a female. And supposedly President Reagan had meetings with two of the EVs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And of course, President Eisenhower was involved in the Holloman thing, Holloman landing. That was in 1953 when he met with them, signed a treaty between the alien nation and the United States of America. Sounds rather formal. And then we received an alien ambassador from them. And
that alien ambassador, was that Krill?
Omnipotent Highness Krill.
Ah.
That was his official name and title, which they quickly dropped and referred to him as a hostage.
Yeah.
That wasn't very nice of them, but something else interesting too is now I'm not sure if these, I have to do some more research, if this alien group at this meeting was the same as the Ebens, but it claimed that they had a flag that was on their ship and worn on their uniforms, which was a trilateral insignia. Is there any relation to
trilateral? What is that symbol like? I'm not sure.
I did, it's in the book.
Yeah. Well, people can find it in the book too. I know that the Krill, it was there were different contacts. That was not a crashed craft. They came in and landed and just say, hey, here we are. We want to talk to you, basically, didn't they?
Well, there was there was two landings.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was filmed, which is interesting. And supposedly this film still exists today. I don't know how easy it is to get to see it,
Yeah.
but this is a picture in my book, one of the frames of it. Let's see. How's that? See that?
Yeah, that looks like it.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Krill was working with them, though, for the purpose of exchanging technologies on gravity and propulsion and beam technology, and maybe.
For a long time at Area 51 or S4. And I believe there was something by Bob Lazar said he never met him or something, but he had heard of him and he had worked in the same place with him at the same time or something. But supposedly he was there a long time, and and his purpose in being there was to share information with our scientists.
Yeah, I remember also reading somewhere Krill had said that, I think he may have been one of the first one that said that we are also multidimensional beings, but we don't know it. I remember that one of his
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also there was mention by some of these alien groups that that they were us from the future.
I heard that too. Yeah.
And
I don't know. I'm struggling with that.
It's hard to wrap your head around that stuff, but it makes sense. I've heard that so many places.
Yeah.
And
I know that saying has been around a while from different people.
You should be able to figure that out better than me because you're the expert on time travel.
Yeah, but I don't see anything like that out there. So.
Well, I'm glad you came back from your trips, but
yeah. And they worked a lot, Krell, and he taught them also probably a lot about maybe biology and genetics, possibly cloning, maybe, I don't know, but
I'm sure he talked to him a lot about the UFOs and propulsion systems and things like that.
You can only imagine the amount of information they have gotten from the extraterrestrials that they have in either captivity or on an exchange visiting program like they did with the Serpo, the Ebens. I mean, in the late, I think, 1960s, they sent a ship with about 12 people off to Serpo, to their planet.
Yes. And
it took 9 months to get there from Earth to Serpo.
Right, you remember that, yes.
Yeah. So it's not that quick.
Well, when you consider how far away everything is and how vast the universe is, that's
32,
too bad.
38 light years. It should take a little while. So.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly, and we signed a treaty, which didn't last very long with them. Yeah. And I don't know whose fault it was. The government has a way of messing up treaties and stuff. Well, treaties aren't to live by, I guess.
We don't know who broke the treaty first. It was probably us. Because we have a habit of breaking every treaty that we ever signed with anybody.
I know.
So I'm sure part of the treaty is that we were not supposed to shoot down their crafts. And military can't help it. If they see something in the sky that they don't like, they got to shoot it down.
Yeah.
So I can see how we broke the treaty by doing that. And then they see that, well, they're still breaking the treaty, so we're going to do our thing too.
Actually, the Russians are better at that than we have been as far as shooting down alien craft.
Yeah, yeah, don't take anything away from them.
Been a lot of stories about that.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, that you mentioned before about reading the book on Serpo. It's fascinating. I never
Yes.
got all the way through it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just very interesting, especially their hybridization program
Yeah.
and just all the experiments that they were performing, and
Yeah.
uh, just it's very interesting. But
But that's we know they're here, and now Krill, he, I think what he died here, didn't he? I think I
um,
think I think he did.
yeah, he was here a long time,
Yeah.
and he was involved in that where he ranged to get another alien, um, arrange for him to try and escape from Area 51.
Yeah.
Um, he he himself felt obligated to stay, but this other alien friend of his um, didn't like the way he was being treated, and he managed to, if I remember the details correctly, he managed to get into some locked areas,
Mm.
safes, get a gun out, and it wasn't a regular gun. It was some kind of a special like laser gun that you could either use for stunning or killing, and different settings on it. And he helped him to escape, but he didn't get very far, this other alien, because he used the gun on one of the guards,
Mm-hmm.
and and so they killed him immediately. Um,
Yeah, I remember reading something about that. He got out through gate 3 of
okay,
uh,
you're farther ahead on that than I am.
yeah, and where that gate is, I don't know, but he did get out, but just get out of the compound. That's fine, but you got miles of surveyed, I mean, controlled area outside of it. So they got
Um,
him. Yeah, they nailed him.
okay, the next book you need to read is my book on the Area 51 security system. It is
Oh,
a copy of the actual handbook for the
oh,
security there, and shows where everything is, what they have. And
really?
yes, I don't tell anybody, but I probably wasn't supposed to copy that.
Yeah,
And
put it out there.
I'm not going to tell you that that I grabbed this out of the guard shack and running back towards the gate to get out and got shot in the shoulder. And
Yeah,
anyway, it's an amazing book. So I can
yeah.
find that with my other books on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to the story. We're kind of at the end of some of this stuff, and there's so much other stuff in the book. I don't want to tell everything because that would take the rest of the day, and then they wouldn't want
Yeah,
to buy my book. But the one thing we need to cover is some of the objects that were obtained from the craft,
yeah.
besides the yellow book. The one interesting thing is what they call the CR, crystal rectangle. I'm not even saying that right. Oh, my mouth is tied. Crystal rectangular energy device, and this was under the what they called the Project Magic Cube that was in charge of figuring this out. And there's a little timeline that I got here in the book. And 1947, the CR was found in the second crash site. That's the same crash site that was that I guess that was EV1 was in, the only survivor, and that the CR fit into a special space on the spacecraft. And they, after a while, they determined that this was an energy device. And 1978, they took a long time to get this figured out. But 1978, they determined that it was a high-powered energy device that provided electrical power to the spacecraft. And then we go up 1982, it was first tested and produced energy. 1990, it was proven to be an unlimited power system. And then in 1998, it was an effort was started to accelerate the knowledge of the device. Then finally in 2001, the Magic Cube project was formed, and it was transferred from Los Alamos Futures Division to Special Projects Section K Division, for what all that's worth.
Okay.
But it's interesting that it's an unlimited power system, and I've elsewhere in my book, I've got a whole chapter in how it works, all the details. It's fascinating, and I don't know why it can't be reproduced, and we can use that in our Teslas instead of the batteries. Then we wouldn't have to stop and get them recharged.
Oh yeah, but the oil companies would kill everybody that tried to do that.
You know, it's amazing that all this energy systems, I'm sure they've got so much available, and we're ruining the environment with these well, they claim the environment's being ruined by cows farting, and they want to get rid of the beef.
Yeah, sure.
But when you see all these rockets they're sending up, Elon Musk's rockets, and every day they're sending new satellites up there and things like that. Why they can't use a different type of system? Although this takes me to one of my other books.
Yeah.
The Secret Space.
Okay.
What, you know how many books I've got them? I'm trying to figure out. I can't even remember the. Oh, there it is. I've got all these books piled up here on the bookshelf that I've written. The Secret Space Program is what I was trying to say. And I'm sure they're using a lot of technology.
Oh yeah.
In that. So
they probably have some of the technology you just mentioned here about
right.
this
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
They'd be fools not to. But things like that have to be kept quiet. They're not going to help us out for our cars and things like that. Of course, it'd be dumb for them too. They don't want the Russians to find out about it,
right?
Or anyone else. But it's the way it goes.
Well, you know, there was like the head of the skunk works, Lockheed Skunk Works back in.
That was a great statement that he came out with.
Yes, yeah. That if you've seen it on Star Trek, he says we already know how to do it.
That was included in my. I don't even remember which book. There's so many.
Yeah.
But
and he also said that we already know how to take ET home.
Yes.
That was also in 78. He made that statement, and that was. We already know how to take ET home, and it will not take a lifetime to do it. So, We will be traveling among the stars if we were just allowed to.
Yes, but there's so much out there we really don't know and they don't want us to know. But
Yeah.
we would be amazed if we knew it was actually going on.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
did you want to mention my other book?
Yeah. There shows the picture of it. That
Yeah, how's that?
aliens
Aliens
on.
on Earth.
Yeah.
And this is a fascinating book. Of course, I hate to brag, but it's really a great book.
Yeah.
But real quickly here, just let me tell you what's in the table of contents here.
Mhm.
The different chapters. They are here now. Disclosure. Are aliens on Earth intent on colonizing humans? Where are the aliens on Earth hiding? Remote viewing the aliens in their bases. That's an interesting chapter. Insight into the aliens. Alien human interbreeding. Alien races suspected of being on Earth. Knowledge imparted to Earthlings. Positive aspect of the alien visitors.
Mhm.
What is the alien agenda for Earth? Realigning our own behaviors. Fifth dimension. Transhumanism and the future of humanity. And superintelligence and external life.
Yeah.
You might want to read that chapter, although you've probably written on things like that already.
Yeah. Yeah. There is stuff going on. So, but it seems like within the government of what we call the United States, which is a corporation, it's not a government. It's a corporation
Yes.
masquerading as government.
Yes.
But within there is a club. There's a club of higher echelon people that keeps the information from themselves. They keep it from the Senate. They keep it from Congress. They keep it from the president. They
The
are,
secret government.
yeah,
That's another one of my books. It's on the secret government, and which actually I'm not sure if it's really such a bad thing, because they're actually running the government, and probably a lot better than if the politicians had complete control.
yeah, yeah. But all the secrets, though, that's I'm just not good with that.
Yeah.
All
Oh, I know. That's why I keep prying into things,
yeah,
releasing their secrets. But at the
yeah.
same time, I can see how they need to keep some secrets.
There are some that need to be kept.
That's their job, but my job is to release them.
Yeah. Because if all the secret has to be revealed, the Russians have to do the same, the Chinese have to do the
And
same.
they will.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
somebody's going to take advantage and use it against the ones that now have no secrets. So yeah, there is a place for it, and that's why it all has to even out. Hopefully, there will be a day for that.
But it's not that easy.
Yeah,
I recall something, and this is something I don't like to talk about because it's something that the government doesn't want you talking about.
yeah,
The death of JFK Jr. in his plane crash.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
he
know.
was like a week from having a hearing on finding out everything the government knew about the death of his father.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we if we started this, we know why he was attacked, but that's for another
that's something
show.
I don't even want to get into. Too many people have died
Yeah,
talking about that.
yeah,
But there was um, over Montauk Base and some of the other affiliates there, they had developed a special, I guess it was a laser weapon that could disable planes. His route, his flight path took him right over Montauk.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah. All right. Well, we're down to the end of the show here, but let people know where they can see and find your books.
the best place is to go onto Amazon and do a search for Gil Carlson. And that's Carlson with a S-O-N, and Gil is just G-I-L. Just do a search on there and they'll bring up all 41 of my books. And if you hurry, I've lowered the price on these books just for Augie's friends. So get on there and get a good deal. And they make good Christmas presents too.
Oh, yes. These are good Christmas. If you know an egghead out there, send him some of these that has to do with alien technologies and things, and then that'll make his day.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is more books, so there will be another show, just like this
Great.
one. So I would now, we're down to the end here, so I want to talk to the listeners for just a second. It is your responsibility to educate yourself. Step out of the box. Go look for the information that kind of excites you. Try to make an exciting day out of it. And we don't get excited by the same mundane stuff that we have been doing or knowing or reading about before. We need new stuff. You'll find all that at Amazon. And go look for Gil Carlson. You'll see all 41 books. And educate yourself, because that's your responsibility. And if you like what you heard this time, please subscribe on YouTube. And otherwise, we will see you next week with another show. In the meantime, be good to each other.